everyone, welcome to another edition of News Generation. My name is Ifwa Akwai Harrison. Coming up, young Ghanaians on the Nigerian elections. WAEC increases punishment for students who decide to cheat in examinations. New magazine for teenagers launched in Accra, and life in Anamrampa through the eyes of 3 teenagers. All these and more coming up. Please stay with us. News Generation, supported by
Cowbell with Vitarid. You know how important good nutrition is to grow up big and strong. Not only is cowbell milk enriched with 28 vitamins and minerals, it's also boosted by the 5 most important vitamins, which we call Vitarid.
It's got vitamin A for good eyesight development. It's got vitamin C to help fight infections. It's got vitamin D and calcium to help build strong bones and teeth. It's got vitamin E to help with body protection. And it's got vitamin K for general well-being and immunity.
For good health and vitality, only Cowbell with Vitarid puts you on the fast track.
Join us on social media. We're on facebook.com/newsgenerationgh. We've been asking you to share your April Fool's pranks with us. It's a new month, so happy new month. We are also on Twitter @newsgengh. Now, for the first time in Nigeria's history, the ruling party has lost an election to the opposition. Muhammadu Buhari won the presidential election by a huge margin, about 2 million votes.
Your vote affirms that you believe Nigeria's future can be better than what it is today. You voted for change, and now change has come. It is you, Nigerians, that have won. The people have shown their love for our nation and their belief in democracy. The declaration of INEC accurately reflects the will of the people.
That is Nigeria's newly elected president, Muhammadu Buhari. It's his second time being president of Nigeria. The first was in 1983, when he came to power in a coup that overthrew the elected government that had been accused of corruption. He was then a major general in the Nigerian army. He is remembered for being a disciplinarian. He had civil servants who were late, do frog jumps, and insisted people queued at bus stations. Under his watch, 475 politicians and businessmen were arrested on corruption charges. But there were lots of human rights abuses during his first shot as president. Journalists were jailed. 2 years later, in 1985, another military coup removed Buhari from power. This time, he says he is a born-again Democrat and is promising to fight corruption, which is a big deal in Nigeria. It was Buhari's 4th attempt to become president, and he was supported by the major opposition parties. Buhari's supporters have been celebrating his victory.
Our country has now joined a community of nations that have used the ballot box to peacefully change an incumbent president in a free, fair election. To me, this is indeed historic.
And the Nigerian election was watched closely in Ghana. So we have been catching up with some young Ghanaians to tell us what they thought about the elections.
I think for this reason, Africans, not only Ghanaians or not only in Ghana, should learn from this. Because for a situation like when President Mahama became the president, Akufo-Addo didn't agree, but for Jonathan Goodluck, he agreed, and yes, he went off and he congratulated his partner who was competing with him. I think this is a very good reason, and this is the first time Nigerians think they've done well.
Well, I think that this is a very historic event in Nigeria as we speak right now. And I think that most of our African leaders should also learn from Goodluck Jonathan, because he accepted it in faith and even called Buhari on the phone to congratulate him. So I think that it is good to push our leaders so that it will bring development into Africa, so that everyone will live as one.
I think the way they conducted the elections is okay, and then even though there were riots and disturbances, they've been able to overcome it and allowed peace to reign, and I think that they should continue, and other countries should emulate them, especially African countries and West African countries to be specific.
Even though it wasn't all that peaceful, it was successful, even though there was some explosions here and there by the Boko Haram group. And I would like to congratulate Goodluck Jonathan for holding his nerves and congratulating the other political party.
I think it's a very good thing because Nigerians claim they need a change, and since they think that the former president, His Excellency Goodluck Jonathan, was the cause of the corruptions and the misunderstandings in Nigeria, and now they've elected His Excellency Buhari, I think it's good because we'll be able to see what he can also do to move the nation forward.
Ghana is a peaceful country already, so we should try to maintain the peace we are enjoying in Ghana and avoid hopping from other people who are routing in their country, and also pray for peace in the country forever.
Those were some of your views on the Nigerian election. Now, some candidates writing this year's WASSCE have pledged not to cheat in this year's exams. Many of them say they are well prepared for the examinations, but WAEC has, however, increased the punishment for students who decide to cheat.
Almost every year, WAEC introduces new punishment against students who cheat in exams. Yet the practice keeps increasing each year. This year's WASSCE started off with integrated science, but it appears candidates are equally concerned about cheating.
It's not good to cheat, since all the things that came have already been taught.
None of the students who interacted with News Generation noticed any form of cheating in their exam halls. Concerns of these students are not out of place, as the West African Examinations Council has agreed with the Ghana Education Service to go tough on students who cheat.
You won't tell me that because people are jailed, people are still not stealing. We still get people stealing. We get people still murdering their spouses and children. So I suppose it is just human nature, except that we should not allow it to affect the sanctity of the exams.
With maximum preparations for the WASSCE, many candidates have higher expectations.
I'm expecting to get A1 here. My all grades should be 8 A's also.
Grade 12. I'm expecting 7 or 8 A's.
Between 7 and 8 A's.
I'm expecting is it 7 A's or 6 A's, one of them.
Over 260,000 students are sitting for this year's WASSCE across the country.
And we wish all senior high school students writing this year's WASSCE the best in their examinations. Let's take you to the Eastern region now, where going to the farm after school in rural communities is something students there usually do. For 3 JHS pupils in Anamrampa, going to farm is a duty they must perform to support their families.
Meet 15-year-old Solomon Okata and sisters, Faustina and Benes Aye, aged 16 and 14. The three are back home after spending 8 hours in school at Dago LAJHS. They live at Anamrampa, a farming community in the Kuapem South district of the Eastern region. They will be going to the farm as part of the duties they perform to help their families. The two sisters, Faustina and Bernice, will work on their mother's cassava farm, while Solomon Okata will harvest palm nuts. On reaching the farm, they go straight to clearing the weeds that are competing with the cassava plant for nutrients. After weeding for almost 40 minutes, they harvest some cassava and plantain, which they will use to pound fufu for the entire family.
The mekwana the enti amekwana say e mama me obra do nti yankwa niska no de bebo pan yankwa onya bi mfa me mfa nku.
I work on the farm because my mother suffers a lot working alone. If I don't help her, the money she will hire people to work on the farm won't be given to us to go to school. It gets very late by the time we return from the farm, so I don't get time to learn.
What
motivates me is that my mother helps me to go to school. Anything I request from her, she gives me.
Meanwhile, Solomon Okata is on his way to harvest palm nuts on his family's palm plantation. With a ladder, he climbs the tree to harvest the nuts.
By 11 years to 12 years, I'm starting. I
started harvesting palm nuts when I was about 11 or 12. My siblings and my father taught me how to harvest. I have my own way of harvesting. Some trees are tall, so you need a ladder. But with others, you have to climb the tree. We harvest every 2 or 3 weeks. If we harvest every day, we won't get enough.
Solomon also taps palm wine for distilling akpeteshi.
I don't get time always to learn because by the time I return home from the farm, it is late, so I get tired and sleep.
Solomon takes the palm nuts home. His mother will send them to Insawam. Back in the Aya house, the sisters pound fufu for the entire family. After all their chores, it is time to pay attention to their books. Unfortunately, they have to use torchlights as Anamrampa does not have electricity.
If we are to get electricity, it will help us to study at night.
Then they have the flies to also deal with. This is life for these 3 JHS students in Anamrampa.
Still to come, new magazine for teenagers launched in Accra after the break.
We all know how important good nutrition is to grow up big and strong. Not only is cowbell milk enriched with 28 vitamins and minerals, it's also boosted by the 5 most important vitamins, which we call Vita-Rich.
It's got vitamin A for good eyesight development. It's got vitamin C to help fight infections. It's got vitamin D and calcium to help build strong bones and teeth. It's got vitamin E to help with body protection. And it's got vitamin K for general well-being and immunity.
For good health and vitality, only cowbell with Vita-Rich puts you on the fast track.
Welcome back to News Generation with me, Ifwa Akwai Harrison. Remember, you can always catch up with us on social media. It's facebook.com/newsgenerationgh. We are also on Twitter @newsgengh. I have a question for you. How does it feel like to be an adolescent? You go through quite a bit, right? Well, to help young people make informed choices at this stage, a new magazine called the Discovery Teen Magazine was launched in Accra on Tuesday.
Adolescence is the transition from childhood to adulthood, a stage where young people go through physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual development, and it can be quite challenging.
Going to a place which is not good, for example, the game center, gambling, which is very, very bad, and now you have to stop. I have to stop. Like seeing like a girl going, and maybe the way she's walking, you like it, so maybe you feel something for it, and you go in and talk to it. But as an adolescent, you don't have to do that.
Society that when you ask...
Mr. Ejaben is the managing editor of the Discovery Teen magazine, a platform to help adolescents during their transition.
These children have peculiar challenges because of their transition from childhood to adulthood. I mean, they have hormonal changes, they are searching for identity, and they have a lot of pressure from parents, school. There's a lot of expectations as far as what they should do and what they should not do, and so they are usually very confused, and that is why Discovery Teen magazine has come on board. I call it a revolution to address the issues of adolescents. In the schools, we have spoken to the heads of the schools, and so they would be our channels of distribution. Again, we are soon going to be setting up in various vantage points in the city, particularly the mall, where we know a lot of parents and children come there.
At the launch of the magazine, the grown-ups gave the teenagers some advice.
Most of the speakers today came to talk about taking advice from our parents and listening to the elderly, and we should not be influenced by the modern changes in technology around us, and that we should pay more basic attention to our cultural life, and we must go back and take some of the good practices that we can from our tradition, and likewise stay away from the bad aspects of tradition, like the early and forced marriages. And we should also be there for when there is child abuse. We should know the right people to talk to. We should not talk to just anyone, mostly like we do to our peers, but we should talk to our parents and our teachers so that they'll be able to lead us and give us good advice. Yes.
And some students who were at the launch say they have already learned a lot from coming here.
Watch out for the magazine coming to a school near you. Now, American musician Britney Spears is trending. Someone posted a video of her famous hit, Oops, I Did It Again, but without the music and some squeaky sounds instead. It's gotten over 3 million views on YouTube. We can't figure out why. Maybe you can.
Oops, I did it again. I played with your heart, got lost in the game. Oh baby, oops, you think I'm in love, that I'm sent from above. I'm not that innocent.
So I guess the squeaky sounds are her costume, her leather costume making noise while she's moving. Interesting. We'll be right back with some more news after this.
We all know how important good nutrition is to grow up big and strong. Not only is cowbell milk enriched with 28 vitamins and minerals, it's also boosted by the 5 most important vitamins, which we call Vita-Rich.
It's It's got vitamin A for good eyesight development. It's got vitamin C to help fight infections. It's got vitamin D and calcium to help build strong bones and teeth. It's got vitamin E to help with body protection. And it's got vitamin K for general well-being and immunity.
For good health and vitality, only Cowbell with Vitarich puts you on the fast track.
Welcome back to News Generation. Now, at the beginning of the show, we asked you to send your comments on Facebook about your April Fool's pranks. Okay, so I'm going to go onto Facebook and read a few of them that have been coming through. And Humaiza Aliyu says, it was 6:05 this morning when I called my head and told her that I wouldn't be able to come to school because I've been admitted at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. And as we were talking, I could feel that she was really shivering. She asked me the ward I was in, and I said I was in the children's ward B while I was right in school getting ready to write my orals. So when they got to the hospital, they called me and I told them that I was in school. So it is just an April Fool's. My headmistress fainted. Humaiza, really, did your headmistress really faint? Maybe you should send us a picture of that. Fatima Peb is just wishing everybody a happy new month. She says I was in my room taking breakfast when a friend of mine called me and told me that her grandma was calling me. So I took a taxi from Newtown to Tema Community 22 and she told me that it was April Fool's. Oh, Fatima, sorry about that. Jeffrey Lyrical Frisk says, I bet you know today is April Fool. So happy April Fool and happy new month. So those are a few of your comments coming through on social media on April Fool's Day. And that's all time will allow us for this edition of News Generation. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, you can catch up with us on social media, facebook.com/newsgenerationgh and on Twitter @newsgengh. Now let's recap some of our top stories, and we spoke to young Ghanaians on the Nigerian elections. WAEC increases punishment for students who decide to cheat in examinations. New magazine for teenagers launched in Accra, and life in Anamrampa through the eyes of 3 teenagers. Thank you so much for your company. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye. News Generation, supported by
Cowbell with Vitarich.